cater to knowledge workers like you in tech, media, and services who not only want their working lives to be simpler and more productive, but also want their workplace to be more open, personal, and enjoyable. We're currently piloting our product with some of the hottest names in the sector, including Ticketmonster and beGLOBAL, and we'll be launching the service to the public in the coming months. All of us here know well the pains of email. Collectively, we spend 50% of our work time just managing our inbox and searching for information. 50%. That's 50% of our workday wasted. It's not that email itself is the big issue. It's just that it's been adopted for purposes it was never really meant to serve. File sharing, calendaring, project management. I mean, just think about it. It really shouldn't be that difficult to add another team member to your project group, right? But instead, you have to go back, forward every email, every attachment, every calendar invite that you've shared to date just to get them up to speed. And every time you go through one of these experiences, you think to yourself, there must be an after that. And in fact, you realize there is, except it's not the tool that your company's providing to you. No, instead they're forcing you to use that crappy old groupware, or even worse, Office 365, right? And so it's no wonder that 93% of consumers today are taking their applications from home into the workplace for work. This is a trend that's already played out in a big way in the US, and especially Silicon Valley, but what they've seen is that they've fragmented their communication channels so much that they now need a tool like Slack to piece it all back together. Here in Asia, though, you and I use a calendar workplace, but true collaboration tools like Asana or Trello, they have yet to take off. So we have an opportunity to leapfrog this entire issue by creating an integrated platform that takes the best of various apps, builds and innovates on them, and makes them work. So how do you actually do that? How do you actually create a platform that is super intuitive and user-friendly, yet retains the power of specialized enterprise software, and is applicable and very valuable to every person in any given organization? You start at the lowest common denominator. You start with a tool that everybody from the developer to the salesperson already knows and loves. Messaging. We then extend that for work by making it group-oriented, persistent, and searchable. We sprinkle in essential collaboration features like file sharing, task management, and calendaring that we think are universally required for managing day-to-day workflow. And finally, to take into account unique preferences and requirements, especially when you have users from different departments, right? We connect with other applications like Google Docs and Dropbox to become the central hub for all of your collaboration needs. So let me show you what that actually looks like in practice. This is one of our clients, First Penguin. They're an interior design and architecture firm that helps companies build commercial spaces from scratch. Given the nature of their work, they need to collaborate with their design team, communicate with the construction workers on site, and share a ton of photos and documents. In the past, they've used a mix of email and Kakao communication, Kakao groups for photo sharing, and Dropbox for file sharing. But that became overwhelming over time to manage because all of their information and communication flow was scattered. Well, we helped them resolve it. Now, using JANDI, they create a dedicated space for every one of their projects where they can upload and share photos, floor plans, and other files. Using that same communication channel, they can talk amongst each other and between the office and the field. If they ever need to look for something, they use our message and file search to jump to a specific piece of the conversation history. And finally, when the project is complete, they take all the files in the JANDI file drawer and create a photo album for their clients to show them how this project came to life from start to finish. I mean, that's freaking awesome, right? And that's exactly the type of story that we expect every one of our users, and the type of value that we expect every one of our users to realize when they use our product. So that's why we allow our customers to use our product for free forever. And we have premium plans that cater to heavily active teams and enterprise customers that require additional security and administration. Going forward, we'll also open up our API to take advantage of the community and platform that we've built. As you can see, it's a bottoms-up driven approach. We focus first on our user, and our product, right? This is an approach that's worked very well in the US. I mean, just look at Evernote or Dropbox as examples. But that alone is not enough in Asia because the culture is conservative, decision-making processes are still rigid. That's part of the reason why companies like Evernote have stumbled as they try to make their way across the pond. So what we've done to address that is build a 20-person business team that will go back over the top and educate your employer why they should be using our product across the organization. As many of you have heard, enterprise messaging anchored platforms have already started to take off in the US. Most notably, you have Slack, which raised at a $3 billion valuation. But you also have other services like CoTab and TigerText that have raised multi-million-dollar funding rounds. They're already proving the value of enterprise social in the US. But when you look across to Asia, where the opportunity is actually larger by a mile, you have a number of small competitors, but no clear contender. And we think we'll be the ones to do it. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to execution. And we have an awesome team of 45 members across Korea, Taiwan, and Japan who bring not only technical talent and business savvy, but also have experience building and scaling businesses from the ground up. Again, we're JANDI. We're here to revolutionize communication and collaboration in workplaces across Asia. We're tackling a multi-billion-dollar problem with the right solution at the right time, and we have the right team to do it. Thank you.
So I have to say I actually love this product.
Thank you very much.
But I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the first entrepreneur. In 5 years from now, if JANDI has failed, what will have been the reason?
To be honest, I think it will come down to execution at the end of the day. Because I think the market opportunity is there. It's obvious that this is a problem, right? If all you do is save 2 to 3% of a worker's time at work, just make them that much more productive, you're saving huge amounts of cost from the salaries of all these employers. That's part of the reason why TicketMonster uses your service. They talk about the thousands of employees that they have, and if all you did is subtract 2%, it'd be worthwhile. And I think it's the right opportunity at the right time. And we've seen that this product actually works in the US, right? And there's no reason why it shouldn't work here. So I think and what we've seen is that customers are already demanding our product. That's how we know that it will work or it will be taken up, right? Everybody's using the calendar workplace. 93% of people use the calendar workplace, which means we're looking for a tool which is enterprise messaging based for work that is acceptable by the employees and the employers. So I don't think there's really a question of whether we can do it. It's a matter of can we do it better than the competitors out there.
What is it that you would say is your defining characteristic that makes you better than Slack? If Slack would make a concerted effort to this market.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong, I love Slack. I think they found a huge market problem and they created a great solution to address it. And frankly, we take a lot of inspiration from them and we benchmark many of our product features and usability off of Slack. But having said that, outside of having an enterprise messaging platform at the heart of our service and having integrations broadly defined, we're actually playing in a very different space. And I would divide it into 3 things. The first is audience, the second is product, and the third is distribution. When it comes to audience, it's very clear who Slack is targeting. I mean, they made it very clear vertically, which is the IT community and in particular startups and developers. Right? We're targeting more Main Street knowledge workers, right? So white-collar workers here in Asia, right? So if we break that down, what does it actually mean, right? So 2 things. First is penetration of SaaS applications are very high, and they're using a lot of them at the same time. So the problem that they're facing is an inundation of various applications that are completely fragmented. So it made sense for them to just go the aggregator route. Right? So what Stuart Butterfield has said is he will not create any structured products within Slack, which means like task management and calendaring, because they already have these tools in that market. But here in Asia and for the markets that we're serving, that's actually not the key problem. There's some fragmentation issue, but the reality is the key issue is that they're not, it's like weak or not, or absent tools because they're using Cacao and they're using Drupal and maybe Dropbox. I mean, if I think about how many tools I use in my business, maybe 2 or 3. It's not like Silicon Valley where they're using 10 to 20. So for us, we're actually more focused on primary provision than on aggregation. So to the extent there are services that we can integrate into that we think make sense, like Dropbox or Google Docs that people are already using, we'll do that. But for everything else, we'll do ourselves because we have an example out of it. So outside of the product itself, so beyond that, there's also localization, which is critical. So there are folks in the US, folks in Asia. I mean, at its most basic, it's language, but it's also local UI UX, right? It's no accident that our service looks like Cacao Top. There's no accident that we're starting to build things like announcement features, message badges, stickers, emoticons. Those are things very catered to the Asian market. And then finally, it's distribution. As I said, it's not enough to just build a good product. In the US it is, because employee adoption means the employer will adopt it eventually, but not here. You need the employer buy-in as well. So that's why we have 45 members. Half our team is business side, half our team is product development, specifically with the business level.
Could you tell me more details of your business models?
I'm sorry?
Business models? Tell me more details.
What's our detail?
Yeah.
So we're still in beta right now. So we haven't released our pricing pricing. But what we're doing is not too dissimilar to most what I'll call new SaaS apps that are out there, consumer-facing ones, like Slack. Right. So we have our core product is free forever, with most of the user-side functionality already included. Then there are premium plans where after you hit a certain threshold, then you'll have to start paying. And there's yet another threshold if you want specific security and administration features. So, for example, Dropbox, signed up for it, never thought I was going to pay. You're on, I've used like 5 gigabytes, and I'm not going to go and delete it. That's what we're going for, is show people that this is the value of our product, and we're confident that that's the case, and it will actually not only save them in terms of, like, we're going to make their lives simpler and more productive, but also that this is just downright stable. You can't get rid of it.
Other judges asked all the questions I wanted to ask the company product and so on. So I have a very personal question. From your bio, you come from TPG, right? So what made you decide to leave prestigious job as TPG and start this company? What is your drive behind running this company?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that question. So, when I think about an opportunity, it comes down to 2 or 3 things for me. The first is level of impact. Right? So I look at how big a problem it is for the world or whatever market that we're trying to serve, and I say, is that worth my time to go and attack? TPG was a great place to be if you want to be in corporate finance, but when it comes to how meaningful that is, what type of value it contributes to society, not very high, to be honest. Second is inspiration. I think it's, for me, grew up in a small town, grew up poor, and I want to show them that it's possible to just move wherever you want to go and build a business that does make an impact beyond yourself, beyond the situation. And then finally, it came down to team. I mean, the reality is we see multi-million-dollar opportunities every single day. I mean, I could have done this in a place that makes a lot more sense for me, which likely in the US, but I came here because of those 45 guys out here, right? They're sitting right over there in that section, and those are the guys that I've convinced can not only execute it, but actually want to spend time with